Randy Orton is one of the biggest names in the entire history of WWE. From his days as a young legend killer to his days as an experienced Viper, Orton has clashed against some of the biggest names in the industry, and has made a name for himself as a bona fide legend. While Orton has had many memorable bouts and has helped elevate many of his colleagues, such as Daniel Bryan and Luke Harper, over the years, there were also times when Orton just couldn't get the other person over as expected, regardless of the circumstances. These wrestlers didn't benefit that much from working with Randy. It is important to keep in mind here that we're not saying this was on Randy, or anyone else for that matter. This video is just looking at wrestlers who, for one reason or another, weren't elevated after working a program with Randy. Welcome to Honor Wrestling Club, and here are 13 wrestlers who weren't elevated by a feud with Randall Keith, na 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 na, Randall Keith. Sorry guys. Welcome to the club. In number 13 we have Shelton Benjamin. Fans thought that Shelton Benjamin would end Randy Orton's Intercontinental title reign in 2004, and this would be the start of his incredible solo career. While Orton was still 24 years old and Shelton was 29, they began to feud in 2004. The Legend Killer was higher up on the card and was the one expected to be elevating Benjamin up to his level. The former Team Angle member had shockingly beaten Triple H following the 2004 draft, during the Reign of Terror no less, before going after Orton's Intercontinental title. The two went one-on-one at Bad Blood, with Orton retaining the title following a competitive match. While the work in the ring was good, it's not as memorable as Orton's clashes with the likes of Edge, Rob Van Dam. Don't worry about us forgetting about Mick Foley. Shelton did eventually win the title, but he wasn't competing against names of the same caliber. In number 12, we have Carlito. Orton's RKO to Carlito, and Unforgiven, is the only thing people remember about this feud. Right after his SummerSlam 2006 match with Hulk Hogan, Hogan's last match in WWE history, fun fact, as of the time of recording, Orton's next program was against Carlito. Two began a brief feud leading into a match at Unforgiven. The pay-per-view went nearly 9 minutes, and the Caribbean Cool Master did get his moments to shine. However, Carlito didn't particularly benefit from working with the Legend Killer. That's not cool, Randy. Their short feud didn't elevate up Lito to the next level, and is mostly remembered only for the impressive RKO that Orton used to beat Carlito. In number 11, we have Ted DiBiase Jr. Unlike Cody Rhodes, DiBiase did not make the most of this big opportunity. Randy Orton won his first WWE Championship all the way back in 2007, this being the spinner belt, not the World Heavyweight title, and this established him as a top heel in the promotion shortly thereafter. In late 2008, Orton created his own group, The Legacy, alongside fellow third-generation wrestlers Ted DiBiase and a second-generation star in Cody Rhodes. The main goal of this faction was to elevate the youngsters by having them work with the top star, much like it happened with Orton himself with Evolution. While Rhodes became a massive star over the years, DiBiase never really accomplished all that much in the business. And now it looks like he's going to jail, so you know, what a fall from grace. In number 10, we have Kofi Kingston. Kingston went right back to the mid-card following his feuds with Randy Orton. When he prevented the Legacy from helping out Randy Orton during his Iron Man match against John Cena at Bragging Rights 2009, Kofi was red hot. Orton then began to feud with Kingston, which is most famous for Orton's stupid remark during a match between them. Kofi went back to the mid-card following that program, but he would eventually work his way back up to the main event scene, almost 10 years later. After he won the WWE Championship and then got back into a feud with Randall in 2019. Although Orton did eventually put Kofi over clean, he wouldn't get Kingston over as well as Daniel Bryan did at that year's WrestleMania. Here we are, definitive proof that Daniel Bryan's a better wrestler than Randy Orton. In number 9, we have Sheamus. He felt like a paper champion against Randy Orton in 2010. When Sheamus won the WWE title from John Cena in a tables match at TLC 2009, fans weren't totally buying the Celtic Warrior as the next big thing. It didn't help that he looked like he'd won the belt by accident, with his win over Cena being a fluke, with Cena slipping off the top rope and crashing through a table. As his first challenger, it was then Orton's task to elevate up the new champion. Unfortunately, they never had much chemistry. Their bout at the Royal Rumble 2010 was mediocre, as was their rematch at SummerSlam, and this was Sheamus' second reign nevertheless. Sure, the fact that both matches ended via disqualification didn't help, but Orton was unable to make Sheamus look great during their feuds. In number 8 we have Jack Swagger, who retained the World Heavyweight Championship against Orton on pay-per-view, and it was one of the most forgettable world title matches of the year. While Jack Swagger truly is one of the worst World Heavyweight Champions of all time, names like Rey Mysterio did manage to get some decent bouts out of old Swaggles, particularly in their Money in the Bank 2010 bout, which had a pretty good storyline of an ankle injury on Rey. Much like it happened with Sheamus, Orton was the first challenger for Swagger's title on pay-per-view, not Chris Jericho, the man he'd cashed in on. The two clashed in an Extreme Rules match at, fittingly, Extreme Rules 2010. It was a weird bout, as Orton, who represented Raw, was challenging Swagger, who was from SmackDown, for SmackDown's world title. Thus, the result of the bout was never really in doubt. The match wasn't terrible, but Swagger never really looked like a threat against Orton either. Despite the fact, because Swagger wasn't losing to the Raw guy, it didn't help anyone. Mysterio managed to make Swagger look like a bit of a threat, but that was at the end of his title reign, and Mysterio didn't need weapons to do it as well. In number 7, we have Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett and Randy Orton had an awful feud for the WWE title, and they wrestled for the title at both Bragging Rights and Survivor Series. Orton would capture Sheamus' WWE Championship at Night of Champions 2010, and was soon challenged by the leader of the Nexus and current best commentator in the business in my opinion, Wade Barrett. Their title matches at Bragging Rights and Survivor Series were overshadowed by the much larger Cena Nexus storyline, with Orton retaining it on both occasions. 1 year later, the two feuded again in the fall, with Barrett now by himself, and the feud was taking place on SmackDown. They traded wins on pay-per-view until the feud culminated in a no disqualification match on SmackDown in January 2012, which was won by Orton. Although injuries did play a part here, as he suffered a bad arm injury, the fact remains that Barrett was not elevated to the main event scene after working with the Viper. In number 6, we have The Miz. Now, The Miz did score a few different wins over Randall during his feuds. That didn't make him a credible champion, though, as he wasn't even cheating to try and retain. Other people were winning the matches for him. The Miz won his first WWE Championship from Randy Orton, cashing in Money in the Bank on the Viper right after he successfully defended against the aforementioned Wade Barrett on Raw. Cute the iconic Miz girl image. The two had rematches at TLC 2010 and Royal Rumble 2011, but Miz looked like a paper champion. Miz didn't even cheat to win both the matches. Other people actually won them for him. Alex Riley helped him at TLC, and then CM Punk at the Rumble. Even though the booking was far from the greatest, Orton vs The Miz isn't on anyone's list of favourite WWE Championship feuds, because the matches were always average at best. I mean, when matches against old man Jerry Lawler are better, something's gone terribly wrong. In number 5, we have Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt and Orton had good chemistry, but their matches weren't good in either of their two major rivalries over the years. Randy Orton came back from a serious injury in 2016 to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. After he was destroyed by Lesnar at the biggest party of the summer, he shocked the world by joining Bray Wyatt's family in the fall. It was all part of a big storyline on SmackDown Live that led to Orton eventually betraying Bray and challenging him for the title at WrestleMania 33, in a story that would be known as the Snake in the Family. Even though the story leading up to Mania was pretty good, the match itself was incredibly disappointing, with the most memorable bit being the projections. Their rematches weren't much better either, and Wyatt went down the card until he would debut The Fiend 2 years later. They feuded again in 2020 into 2021, but their matches were equally bad, if not worse. In number 4, we have Jinder Mahal. I mean, blooming heck, this one's not Randy's fault. Bloody Bret Hart couldn't have got a good match out of Jinder, so there's no hope for Randall. Wrestling fans were shocked when in 2017, former 3MB member Jinder Mahal suddenly got a WWE title shot right after moving to SmackDown as part of that year's draft. Mahal defeated Orton to become WWE Champion at Backlash, and went on to retain the gold against Orton at both Money in the Bank and Battleground in a very boring Punjabi prison match with random Great Khali assistants for no reason. Despite Orton's best attempts to get Mahal over and constantly putting Mahal over in pay-per-view matches, fans never bought into Jinder as WWE Champion. Mahal left the main event scene as soon as he dropped the gold to AJ Styles later in the year. This was after he'd already ruined Shinsuke Nakamura. Mahal would win Orton's US title at the next WrestleMania, but he would lose the belt to Jeff Hardy just a few weeks later. In number 3, we have Keith Lee. Who is he? Who is he? For he is limitless. Except unless he's feuding with Randy Orton, then he has lots of limits. Scoring a huge pay-per-view win over Randy Orton did nothing for Keith. After awesome performances at Survivor Series 2019 and Royal Rumble 2020, WWE fans could not wait for Keith to move up to the main roster. Lee dropped the NXT title in August, and WWE immediately promoted his main roster debut at SummerSlam. Lee immediately got a pay-per-view match at the next week's Payback event against Randy Orton, who was the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. Nobody expected such a big match to happen so soon into Keith Lee's WWE career, and fans were even more shocked when Lee won, clean as a whistle, in just 6 minutes. Despite the win, everything happened way too fast and their match had very little heat. Thus, Lee didn't really benefit from beating a big star, and Orton suffered an unnecessary loss during his long feud with Drew McIntyre over the WWE title. In WWE's defense, Lee did end up having a lot of medical issues which did hamper his progress, but still they could have capitalised on this win a little bit more before he went down on the shelf. In number 2, we have Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre's feud with Randy Orton in 2020 was overcomplicated and too long. McIntyre wasn't the same until his feud with CM Punk in 2024. More than 10 years after being named the Chosen One by Vince McMahon himself, Drew McIntyre finally reached the top of the mountain when he defeated Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 36. I want to stop the Scottish accent now, that is difficult to do. McIntyre would feud with Randy Orton over the summer, resulting in several pay-per-view matches. While the matches were actually pretty damn good, the feud did get stale as the months progressed. Furthermore, it got even worse when Orton beat Drew for the title for no real reason, as he held it for a cup of coffee for no reason, other than to give him punch some numbers and stats. Before the next pay-per-view though, the gold was back around McIntyre's waist, but McIntyre had lost a lot of his momentum during his long feud with Randy Orton in 2020. This long feud damaged Drew McIntyre in the long run, who only really got back to that level when he started to turn heel and feud with CM Punk as that heel in 2024. And in number 1, we have Matt Riddle. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle had a great tag team run, but Riddle didn't become a top WWE star after RK Bro. After Randy Orton's feud with The Fiend, where he looked thoroughly miserable throughout, he formed the tag team alongside Matt Riddle that became known as RK Bro, in order to have a bit of fun. Fans knew that things could go south at any moment, which did create a fun dynamic similar to Team Hell No's run years earlier. They actually got along quite well, capturing the Raw Tag Team Championships twice. Eventually, the team abruptly ended when Orton sadly got injured in May 2022, shortly after RK Bro had lost the title unification match to the Usos. Okay, plans have been scuppered a bit, but we could still elevate Riddle, which was the main goal of the team, and he was a promising talent and already been a US champion. A personal feud with Seth Rollins ended up being the highlight of his WWE career, as the company released Riddle in September of 2023. Riddle didn't get over a long feud run with Randy Orton, having admittedly failed drug tests and after using cocaine and having some questionable moments with airport security. And there's our list. So, what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and click the subscribe button if you are new around here. That's all for now. So, I'd like to thank you for watching and welcome to the club. See ya!